Peace, peace, peace. Mind Ascension here. Peace to the 6 to 22 strand, 7 to 9 ether, you melanin, selenium based black gods of this planet. Just attempted to go live, not only on YouTube, but IG. And it seems like that's being restricted again, as usual, which there is never no surprise when it comes to restrictions on my personal expression, sharing, so on and so forth. Taking this time at this moment. Basically, I wanted to touch base with the family, with the few handfuls of y'all that actually do interact, the few handfuls of y'all that actually do support, do share, so on and so forth. But unfortunately, I can't directly interact with y'all on any live. So instead, I'm gonna do the next best thing. Already invested in a new phone, so I'm going to be utilizing my camera and going back to making separate videos in order to upload them on my YouTube. But y'all know Mind Ascension already. When it comes to this, how would you say, doing videos and so on and so forth, it's very necessary for me to have the ability to exchange. It's very necessary for me to have the ability to share thoughts, subconscious, so on and so forth. All the things that basically allow us to expand into new thinkings, new ideas. And a lot of times we can say things to each other or bring up questions that open up parts of our mind that we never thought to do so because we never thought of that question or thought of that answer. But regardless, I'm gonna wing it, as they say. I definitely am taking requests on topics, so on and so forth. I will be working on attempting to create some type of consistent podcast or something that can be utilized with the consistency to touch base with my family, the handful, my followers, and so on and so forth, touching on numerous topics each week, so every 2 weeks. But anyway, wish I could ask y'all what's on y'all mind, but I can't. So, we just gonna wing this thing. And y'all know Mind Ascension. I enjoy being in the elements. I enjoy being outside, whether it's on the streets, whether it's in the grass, parks, whatever, in front of your local projects, in front of your nearest street corners, so on and so forth. But I'm still thankful and grateful and thankful forever and always and forever, favored forever. That will never stop, long as I have the mindset that's just part of the indigenous mind and the God mind. Nothing will ever break my gratefulness to this current existence in this current time frame that I've chose to express, teach, activate, so on and so forth. My fellow gods, my fellow divine beings. But once again, when it comes to this type of stuff, I need my interaction. I need that expression and that exchange, Don't necessarily have a topic on mine, but I said since they trying to stop me from going live, I might as well attempt to utilize my video and then upload these things much later down the line. But it is what it is. It's a damn shame we live in a society, in a world that every form of expression, every form of thought, every form of idea is monitored. Monitored by people that have no soul, monitored by people that always have an agenda, usually in a synthetic basis or synthetic form. Anytime you're dealing with something that's man-made, anytime you're dealing with something that is a dilution or mixture outside of man's body, you're dealing with a synthetic version of something. Everything synthetic will have some form of side effect and also has a lower lifespan than that which is organic or that which is cosmic or that which is earthbound, divine, spiritually infused. Nothing man-made can be spiritually infused, and that goes for religion as well. Your intentions can infuse things, but if your basis is made off a manufactured synthetic foundation, then that infusion necessarily doesn't mean much, because it's just like trying to infuse electricity into an object that is a non-conductor. We know that electricity flows freely through natural conductors, whether they're copper, whether they're metal, iron, and so on and so forth. But if I try to run electricity through plastic, I'm not going to get much efficiency, am I? So it's the same aspect. When you try to infuse spirit into something that's purely synthetic, you don't really get too much of a efficient result. And that's what it seems like a lot of humanoids, and the masters of humanoids are trying to do today. Infuse a synthetic aspect with a, how would you say, false form of spirituality. And of course, the masses are always being conditioned, indoctrinated, influenced, and following the narrative that whatever it is being said today, as we see around us constantly. But still thankful and grateful. Understand the difference between that soul and that spirit. Understand that there is no good or evil, but only energies within degrees. Utilize the method of the DEFI or the DEFI, design, energy, function, and efficiency, which can be applied to anything and everything, no matter what it is. From the most mundane, the most important, the most insignificant, there's a design, there's an energy, there's a function, and there's an efficiency or inefficiency or deficiency to everything in existence. The beauty about the God mind is it immediately makes everything simplistic. The human brain immediately dissects and fractionalizes everything in existence, which makes it much more harder to comprehend, because you have thousands of angles to look from, separate from the fact that all angles are coming from one observation and one perception. The God mind sees every degree at one time, or the God eye, I should say, because it's the God eye that comprehends every degree, but it's the God mind that sees every degree and every angle all at once. Never being biased, never being rejecting, never being deceptive in anything, but using a pure observation, a pure perception to come to a conclusion based off intelligence. Still thankful and grateful, grateful and thankful forever and always, always and forever. But yeah, family, I'm just utilizing this time right now to because the thing about it is, when I attempt to go live, I'm going live for a reason, for y'all to share, to exchange, to touch base with the actual family, the small handful of y'all. And then when I'm stopped from going live, now I have an obligation and a duty to myself and to being an individual who goes against the current narrative in the current society, to make sure that I do something as close as possible to what my intentions was, which leads me to making a video on my phone and then eventually having to upload it to YouTube or whatever the case may be. Everything that is put in front of you to create resistance, to create blockage, you must always find the alternative or break through it. Because all blockages and all resistance is to keep you conformed within the box, to keep you conformed within the obedience of the current society and narratives and thinkings and ideologies that you're forced into. This is why you'll hear occultists constantly talking about the left-hand path and the right-hand path and so on and so forth. Some of us who are truly old souls and indigos and all these different terms that we want to utilize, no matter what they are, because even the term that you utilize locks you in the box of the ideology which the term derives from. So when I talk about twin flames and old souls and indigo children and all these different things, I'm connecting that to a specific ideology, which is another form of box. That's why if you notice, when Mind Ascension gives you something, he gives you numerous forms of it. He doesn't just give you one to follow from himself or one to follow from his personal ideology or his personal religion. He gives you different forms, different terms, different labels for you to choose from. And then on top of that, he enforces you to redefine it for yourself, to rename it for yourself, to create that language for yourself. But of course, utilizing intelligence, logic, and reasoning to form these terms, these labels, and these languages that actually mean something, that actually makes sense. But we're here to break limitations. We're here to rebel against conformity. But we're also here to respect energies, respect thoughts, respect traditions, respect customs, but understand that each one of these things has the ability to lock you into a frequency. And once you're locked into a frequency, you're vulnerable to anything on that frequency and on that energy. All forms of limitations create weakness, create hesitation, create doubt, and create lack of expansion. Whatever I limit you to, I limit your mind. I limit your physical abilities. If there was an art form or there was a certain level of study that you never knew existed, but that if you knew existed, you can be a master at, me stopping you from knowing the existence of that study or that art form or that design, so on and so forth, is me limiting your capability, and me also limiting your power and your energy that can be cultivated, concentrated from that actual practice. Because many of us discover our powers and our abilities by practicing certain arts, by practicing certain traditions, by practicing certain aspects that let us find newer levels of ourselves that go beyond the self which is just a citizen, the self which is just a worker, the self which is just a 9-to-5er, the self which is just going to school to go back to school, to go back to school, to go back to school, to get a degree that puts you in debt. And these are the cycles that the recessive wants you to constantly repeat and sustain, which keeps you in a prison of this personal society or this current society. So you're here to experience everything while breaking all limitations, while utilizing the method of design, energy, function, and efficiency to discover what is here to be utilized and what is here that fractionalizes you. Because there's many things today, because we don't notice or observe the design, we don't notice and observe the energy, we don't notice and observe the function, we don't notice and observe the efficiency, but we just follow it, that completely destroys our spirit, destroys our way of thinking, our critical thinking, and so on and so forth. As we speak right now, they are making children and adults much more weaker minded in the form of criticism, in the form of giving forms of advice or giving knowledge or sharing certain aspects, and because it doesn't feel good at the time, it's automatically deemed hateful, it's automatically something destroying. The fact that you have something in existence called cyberbullying or cyber anything, when your ass can easily turn off that goddamn device, which they don't want you to do, which is why they create these terms to make you feel justified for sitting there and being on a device and being on an electronic instrument and taking the ridicule instead of just turning it off. Because if you turn it off, you might be able to learn to live without it. And that's something they don't want you to do. The same way a parasite doesn't want you to separate from it. And we all know who these parasites are. And once you decide to separate from that parasite diminishes, it dies, it weakens, it's destroyed, it's useless, it has no power. So if you turn off your device, if you ignore a comment, if you block so-and-so, then you are taking on the ability of yourself and utilizing your own power to separate your mind, your influences, your spirit, your soul from something that's synthetic and something that has always had an inferiority complex, creating a need to dominate all existence. And whatever it can't dominate, it must destroy. This is the design of a parasite. This is the design of a disease. And we must know the difference to understand what to look for, what to maneuver to, and what we have the ability to manipulate.